I'd like to show you today how you can stretch a canvas using raw canvas and stretcher bars. So when is the time that you would want to stretch a canvas rather than purchase a pre-stretched canvas from the store? Well, maybe you have a custom size that you can't find in the store, which is what I have going on right now with the commission project I'm working on. Maybe you want something higher quality because stretch canvases from the store are very thin and they're prone to warping. Maybe you just want to have the experience of stretching a canvas. Whatever the reason is, it's a good thing to know how to do as an artist, as a visual artist, a painter. So let me take you over to my table and I'm going to show you how to stretch a canvas. All right, so we have my table here, and here we have some stretcher bars. Now, I have some 23-inch and 26-inch stretcher bars, and this is for a custom size canvas for a customer I'm doing a painting for. So first of all, you're going to want to have stretcher bars. You're also going to want to have some canvas, of course. This is 12-ounce canvas. It's nice weight. The higher the weight, the thicker it is, and the more quality you're going to get. Some store-bought canvases have only 5-ounce canvas. This is nice and thick, so it's going to be very durable. It's cotton duck canvas. Sometimes you can use linen as well. Linen is more expensive. It has a different weave and kind of feels different as you paint on it, but this is cotton duck here. So I've got my stretcher bars, got my canvas. You're going to want to have squares to just double check and make sure your canvas stretcher bar frame is indeed square. So I have an outer square and inner square to check both sides. I have a ruler where I can measure off any canvas I need to cut, and a pen. Probably the most important thing you're going to need is a staple gun, and I use 3/8-inch staples. 1/4 inch usually don't stick in very well into the wood, and then anything longer than 3/8 tends to be a little harder to get it to penetrate all the way into the wood. So 3/8 is a good length for your staples, and this is just a regular T50 stapler. You can buy it at a hardware store. Works very well. I have a hammer for hammering in staples further if they're not stapled in all the way, and that makes sure your canvas is really fastened well to your stretcher bars. I also have mallets in case you need to pound your stretcher bars together. Usually it's not needed, but you might need it, so it's a good thing to have. Canvas pliers for pulling the canvas tight. Sometimes you need it, sometimes you don't, but it's good to have. It gives you more grip, so you can really get good tension and get your canvas nice and taut on the frame. Scissors for cutting the canvas. These are keys for pounding into the corners of the canvas if you need to tighten it further. And they're just wooden pieces that usually come with your stretcher bars. You can purchase them separately as well. And then I also have a spray bottle with water just to spray on the back of the canvas and tighten it if I need to make it tighter. And usually that will be required. And that would be it. So we want to start off, our first step is to assemble our stretcher bar frame. So we're going to take 2 stretcher bars, one long, one short, and we're going to make sure that we have the correct side. There are 2 different sides, and they're only going to fit one way. One side has kind of a lip on it, and that is going to give your canvas a little more distance from the frame, so you don't have indentations on your canvas as you're painting. So this is a thicker edge, and then the back edge doesn't have that lip on it. But let's go ahead and assemble these 2 sides together, and we're just going to position them like this, and you'll see there's it's like Legos. It just kind of snaps together. So I gotta make sure I have it facing the right way. Okay, here we go. So we want to snap these together just like so. And you want to make sure you don't have any extra edge hanging over. So you want to make sure you meet that corner nice and tight, if you can see this, just like that. And you can kind of position it a little bit so you can get it together. I find it works well to set the canvas down so you have a little torque and leverage whereby you can do this. Kind of lift it up a little bit until you get it. All right, so just want to make sure we have that nice and tight. Now we're going to do the other edge, same thing. And you want to make sure you have the correct sides matching up. So here we're going to go ahead and meet these together, just like this. And it's like a puzzle, just fits together. And again, try to get it situated so that you don't have any extra wood hanging over that corner. You can see it. So you want it nice and tight. Make sure we got it really good and tight here. Okay, so now we have these two edges together. Just make sure you have them, again, facing the right way. Got that thicker lip on the top. Again, you can see that in the profile. I think if I flip it, you can see, let's see, let's try to aim it so you can see it. See that thicker edge right here? This is the side where your painting will be on, where the painted canvas will be on. This is the back. You want to go ahead and meet these two together on either side. Just snap them together. These corners might be a little bit harder. I'm just going to try to situate this for the camera so you can see it. You want to make sure tight corners. The miter joint is nice and smooth. Let's get the other corner. Bring it together. Okay. Again, really nice tight corners. And that's what it looks like when your frame is assembled. And now you can see the other side as well. Just going to slide this over. Let's make sure you can see the whole thing. And now let's just check and make sure everything is square. Make sure all of our corners are tight, first of all. And now we'll check with our square, make sure it is in fact square. You want to check all corners. That looks good. That looks good. That looks good. And we can also check that as well using side square or speed square. So you can check that on the inside and make sure it's square that way too. Okay, this side maybe is just a little bit off. I see just a bit of a gap on the inside. So that might mean I would see a gap on the other side, or possibly our stretcher, it's just slightly warped. That sometimes can happen too. So I'm just gonna check this outside edge and see how that looks. I think that's probably about as square as it's going to be. So, yeah, I think that's about as square as we're going to get that joint. All right, so now that we have this squared off, what we want to do is set these tools off to the side. They don't get in our way. Now what we want to do is set some canvas underneath our stretcher frame, and we can go ahead and flip our canvas over so that we have the thicker profile side, you know, that has the lip on it. Flip that over so it's on the back, and then you'll see, you know, the flat edge here. Often there'll be labels that'll indicate that it's the back side. We're going to go ahead and start stretching this. So let's set our canvas underneath. We're going to have to cut off a section of canvas. I bought this big folded piece of canvas here. You might have canvas that they give to you on a roll, however they give it to you. Just want to get that nice and flat. And again, set your stretcher frame so that it's facing the flat side up and then the thicker side down with the indentations. Keep the canvas from hitting the edge. Okay, so we want to have approximately enough canvas to go over the edge, you know, like a little bit. I would say maybe it needs to cover the back of the frame completely and probably extend out maybe 2 more inches past that point. So I'm just gonna try to measure off that much. Something like this is good. Now, some people like to have it really, you know, can be conservative, but it makes it easier to grab the canvas when you have a little bit more material. You can always trim it later. So I'm just going to go like that. Just want to check and see. Yeah, there's a couple different ways we can do this, but I think maybe I'll flip it this way and I'll cut it down like that on that side. Have a little bit extra, maybe an inch or 2 extra. And then I'm going to make sure I have enough on this other side to overlap. So maybe cut it at about, I don't know if you can see that, a couple inches down. So I'm going to grab my ruler. And I want to just cut this canvas. Make sure I have enough to kind of go over the edge. Okay, just touch that point right there. So I need that much. Try to get this all into the camera shot so you can see that. And I'm just going to make a mark using the ruler. And it doesn't have to be perfectly straight. And then I'm going to go ahead and cut along this line. Better to have extra canvas than not enough. Yes, let me get a different pair of scissors. And just going to cut along the top line here. There we are. Now we have our canvas cut. You have a little excess, but I like to have, like I say, a little excess so I can trim it later. It makes it so much easier to pull. All right, so now we want to start by stapling on all corners in the middle, and we're going to work our way out to the edges. So line it up as best we can so we have all the material kind of at the same distance. We have about the same amount overhanging on each side. And I'm going to fold it over here just to give it a little more ability to hold. As long as this overlapping part doesn't go too far in, I don't want it to go past this edge. I think that's going to give it just a little bit more holding power. So I'm going to staple it like this, and this will give it a nice clean edge when I fold it like this. That's just something I like to do. And approximately in the middle, we want to staple our canvas right in the middle. I want to make sure though, however I fold it, that I'm stapling into that fold. So I'm just going to bring it up to about this point, not all the way to the edge, leave a little bit of a distance right there between the edge of the canvas. That should be good. I'm going to staple it right in the middle. And if you need to measure it just to kind of get your midway, that's not a bad idea. 23 inches, so we're looking at maybe about a little less than 12, 11 and a half. And you kind of know you've got it right in the middle. Staple it here, and then we're going to staple it on the other side. Okay, we'll go ahead and just put my ruler over there. Get to that 11 and a half mark. Okay, we have staples on both sides. And then I just like to pound it in. Sorry about that ruler rattling. All right, now we're going to do the other side, same thing right in the middle. So this is 26 inches, so here we've got 13 on this side. Fold this canvas over just a little bit. That nice edge. Now we want to work our way across. The hardest part is really getting in those first 4 staples. Now we just want to work our way across, putting in a staple about every 3 inches or so, 2 to 3 inches. If you want to mark off the spots you're going to staple at with a pencil, you certainly can do that. Let's mark it off at maybe 10. Let's see. 13. I'll go ahead and put in a staple. You want to pull both ways, pull on the long side and on this side. So both sides you want to pull. You're going to pull over here on the right side, then we're going to pull with the left hand. So we're getting, you know, both the warp and the weave of the canvas taut. Go ahead and really pull this nice and tight. If you want to do one on the other side, you can just kind of flip it around. And mark this off here. Pull on both sides, both the left hand and the right hand. So I'm pulling this way and I'm pulling this way. The hammer. Okay, and then we're gonna flip it again. Now let's go ahead and kind of the same ratio. Here we have 11 and a half, so we're going to go, I think, 9, 6, 3, and then we're going to go be 13, 16, 19. Something like that. Pull it as taut as you can. Okay, and we're going to go ahead and pound that with the hammer. Now let's flip it around and get a staple on the other side. Let's mark this off. To kind of have all equal as much as possible. Hold on both directions. I'm going to go ahead and staple that in the middle. Watch your fingers. Okay, we'll go ahead and work on the other side. Actually work on the longer side. There's more staples. Let's get one on this side now. Pull on both sides. Hold it tight. Staple it in the middle. Pull it tight on both sides. Staple it right in the middle. Okay, now we'll kind of work our way around and get this other side. Try to keep our fabric even as much as possible. Okay, so I'm going to make pulling on both corners. That. Right, and then we'll do the other side. Pull on both corners. Keep going across. Now we're going to again pull on both corners here. Just lining it up at the points that I've made here. Okay, now we're going to do a little bit more on the other side. Make sure we're not stapling one side too much ahead of the other. Right here, we're going to staple this side. Now, we'll do the last couple on this long side, I think. We're getting to a point where I think it's just the ones on the side, and that'll be it. Let's go ahead and fit these guys in. Close enough. Let's this side here. Try to take my full speed across here. Do this. Pull. So now we can start tucking in our corners at this point. So we're gonna do fold. It's gonna be a little different because I have the excess material here because I folded it over on itself. But I just like how it is when you have the edges folded over and you don't have all these strings hanging off. But now we will need to tuck everything in. We're gonna go like this, kind of fold it in. We want to get this edge kind of folded in on itself. Finally, we have a nice tight edge here. This is what you want to have. It's a nice tight corner as it's folded over. And that's probably the trickiest part of the process, is to get that nice corner edge. You can see where it looks really, really flat on all sides. Once you have that, then you can go ahead and staple that corner down. Nice corner just like that. Staple this corner down as well. Okay, now we want to do the same thing to the other corners. And one more staple there on those corners. Get a nice fold here on this edge. Now with that, we can fold the corners on these sides as well. And I just like it to match. I want to have it tuck in on both sides. I like to get a nice tight kind of fold right here. Just fold it just like this. Should look something like this, as you have the material all really tight to a nice corner, just like that. Like a nice tight corner here. Hammer down. Okay, we'll staple this down. Okay. And it should look something like this. We have this nice tight corner. The main thing is that you have a corner on this side. So when you look at the canvas in the front, you've got some really nice corners here that are clean. Just notice, the clean edges. On the back, it doesn't look quite as pretty, but the main thing is that you've got some corners that are nice and smooth. And I do have a little bit of a divot on the top, but I think that'll be okay. All right, so this is what it looks like in the back, with everything stapled in and pounded down all of our staples. Just want to make sure that everything's pounded down nicely. Because everything's folded over, we don't have the frayed edges that you can sometimes have with canvas, so that's a nice clean edge on it. Our corners are overall very nice and tight. You can see how it looks on the front side. And the final step then, I'll show you the corners here so you can get a sense what they look like. Okay, our last step now is to spray the canvas to really tighten it up. So we're going to spray the front, the back, just using my spray bottle here. And let's go ahead and do that. That'll get out any remaining wrinkles that we have on the surface of the canvas and just really, really tighten it up. So I'm just going to spray both the top and bottom. Front and back. If you don't want to pump with a spray, you can dip your paintbrush into some hot water or warm water and just tighten it that way. The main idea is just to get everything really wet. If you did it right, it should sound like a drum. So if you got it sounding really nice and tight like a drum, then you've got a good, solid canvas. That'll be really tight and a nice surface for you to paint on. The next step after this is going to be to gesso your canvas or prime your canvas. And I'll show that to you in a different video. But anyway, this is how, at least from my experience, that you stretch a canvas. If you do find that your canvas is not quite as tight as you'd like, you can use these canvas keys and pound them into the corners. I'm not going to do that at this point. I want to reserve that. Perhaps if the canvas gets loose, if I notice that it seems looser than it should be, but since I have a nice tight canvas, I'm not going to use these keys right now. But what you would do if you needed to use these keys is they just fit into the slots on the back. You can see that, in the corners there's little slots here. And you just go ahead and you pound these wedges into all of the corners. Should fit in there pretty nicely. Probably you'd have to use a hammer or a mallet, but you would just kind of pound these in and there. Put these back and save them just in case it loosens up over time. You can also, when you deliver a painting, you can attach these keys to the back of your canvas so the client or an art conservator can put these in and tighten up the canvas if need be. All right, that's how you stretch a canvas. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you found it helpful. And again, here's our stretch canvas ready for the gesso. So we're ready to prime it. I'll show that to you in another video. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to this channel to get more videos like this. Leave me a comment or a question in this video. Now, I don't stretch canvases very often. I mean, I used to do it quite a bit more in the past, so it's a little bit rusty. But if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them for you. I might do it a little bit differently than another person, but this is the way that works for me. And I hope it'll work for you as well. As you're working with tools, staplers, and things like that, stay safe. Obviously, I can't be held responsible for anything that happens, so just use common sense and stay safe. But thank you so much for watching. God bless. I will see you in the next video. Take care.